another Bible study. Today we're going to be doing Genesis chapter 19. Remember, you can email me at godsohman@gmail.com. This is a YouTube Bible study, so make sure you subscribe to my channel. Click the notification bell. By subscribing and clicking the bell, it lets you know whenever I post a new video. Also, like and comment. By liking my videos and commenting, it lets YouTube know that I'm getting interactions on my channel, and that'll actually show my videos more often. And like I said, today we're going to do Genesis chapter 19. And there came two angels into Sodom at even. And a lot of people say right here at the beginning of chapter 19 there's a contradiction. You see in Genesis chapter 18 verse 1 it said, "And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat at the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him." 3 men. Well, hold on. In chapter 19, it said there was 2 men. Well, if you go down to 33, it says, "And the Lord went his way, and as soon as he left communing with Abram, and Abram returned to his place." So there was 3 men, and the Lord went his way, and he left. That's why there was 2 men left. Back to chapter 19, verse 1. "And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom." And a lot of people say, what does it mean by he sat in the gate? Well, if you go to 2 Samuel, chapter 19, verse 8, it says, "The king arose and sat at the gate. And he told all the people, saying, Behold, the king doth sit at the gate. And all the people came before the king, for Israel had fled every man to his tent." And it's actually quite popular in scripture that it says that some important person would sit at the gate. And they do that because a lot of times people will have questions, and they need to know who they can go to answer questions to. So they know that they go to the gate, they're going to be able to get their question answered. And it's always some person that has some kind of influence or power in the town. Daniel 2 says, "And the king made Daniel a great man. He gave him many great gifts, and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and the chief of the governors, all the wise men of Babylon. Then Daniel requested of the king, and sat at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon. But Daniel sat in the gate of the king." So it says that the king made Daniel a great ruler, and then Daniel sat at the gate of the king. Once again, showing that people of importance will sit at the gate. That way, people know where they can find him if they have questions. In 1 Kings 22, it says, "Then the king of Israel called an officer and said, Hasten, Mishael, the son of Imlan, and the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, the king of Judah, sat each at his throne, having put on their robes, in a void place at the entrance of the gate of Samaria. And the prophets prophesied before them." So again, this important person sitting at the gate. Back to Genesis 19. "And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom. And Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face towards the ground." If you go back to Genesis 10, it talks about where basically Sodom is. And it says, "And the borders of the Canaanites was from Sion, and thou comest to Ger and to Gaza, and thou goest unto Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abdom, and Zimbum, and even to Lasha. And there went out the king of Sodom, and the kings of Gomorrah, and the kings of Admah, and the kings of Zimbolim, and the king of Bela, the same as Zor, and they joined battle with them to the valley of Siddim." So it's showing you here on my map here. This is actually on the right hand side there, the different people they're talking about and where they're at. You can see Zimbum, Admah, Gomorrah, Sodom, and Zar. In the picture to the left is just the Gomorrah scene from the top of Masada, which is right below Gomorrah. And this is actually a map of the Dead Sea. It shows you basically where these cities are by the Dead Sea. It's a really hilly area. The Dead Sea, like I said, it's a sea that's dead. Genesis 19, verse 2. "And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go your ways. And they said, Nay, we will abide in the streets all night. And he pressed upon them greatly, and they turned unto him, and entered into his house. And they made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. Before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house around, both old and young, all the people from every quarter. And they called unto Lot, and said unto them, Where art there men which came into these the night? Bring them out unto us, that we may know them. And people wonder what they mean by that they may know them. Well, in Genesis 4, it says, And Adam knew Eve, his wife, and she conceived. So basically, knowing them, basically means to have intercourse. Back to chapter 19, verse 6. And Lot went out at the door of them, and shut the doors after them, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have two daughters which have not known men. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing, for they came under the shadows of my roof. And they said, Stand back. And they said again, This one fellow came unto sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now we will deal worse with thee than them. And they pressed sore upon the man, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men put forth their hand, and pulled Lot into the house unto them, and shut the door. And they smote these men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, so they may weary themselves to find the door. So basically what's happening is these men are knocking on Lot's door, and they're saying, we want to have intercourse with these two men that came into your house. And Lot said, No, don't mess with these men. They're under my protection. Here, have my two virgin daughters, which is a really horrible thing to do. But that's what he did. And these men said, No, we're going to come into this house. And so the two men basically waved their hands and made the men be blind, so they couldn't find the door. And the men said unto Lot, Haste now, are there any besides, son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whatsoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of the waxen great before the face of the Lord. The Lord has sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get out this place, for the Lord will destroy this city. And if you remember back in Genesis chapter 18, Abraham was bargaining with these three angels, and he was talking to the Lord, and he basically said, will you please not destroy the city if there's this many here, if there's that many here. And finally he talked him down to saying, please don't destroy it if there's at least, 10 people that are righteous before your eyes. And you have to remember, we have Lot, his wife, two married daughters, their husbands, and two unmarried daughters. That's at least 8 people. Lot lived there for 25 years, and he should have had at least 2 converts. But according to, God's still destroying the city, so, he might have converted some people, but apparently his two married daughters and his 2 married daughters' husbands really doesn't care very much about, what's going on, so they might not be saved, they might be, who knows. But apparently there wasn't at least 10 people in the town that was righteous. Back to Genesis 19, verse 14. And Lot went out and spoke unto his sons-in-law, which married his daughters, and said, Up, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But he seemed as that mocked him to the son-in-law. So basically it's saying that the sons didn't really care what Lot was saying. And when the morning arose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hands of his wife, and upon the hands of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful unto them. And they brought him forth, and set him out of the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, that he said, Escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in all the plain, escape to the mountains, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my lord. So the angels are saying, I need you to run, don't look back, run right to the mountains. If you don't leave now, if you look back, you're going to be consumed. And Lot said, No problem. We're gonna do this. We don't want to be consumed. And behold, now thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed to me, and saved my life. I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me and I die. So basically, Lot's saying, I can't go to the mountain because somebody might try to hurt me, so I can't go there. And then, behold, now the city is near to flee to, and it's a little one. Well, let me escape there. It's not a little one. And my soul shall live. So basically, Lot's saying, hey, instead of me going out to the mountains and living in caves, let me go to the city, because he loves the city life and he wants to go to the city. And he said unto them, see, I have accepted thy concern in the thing also, that I will not overthrow this city for which thou hast spoken. So the angels is telling Lot, all right, fine, you can go to the city, and we'll make sure we don't destroy that city. See, originally they were going to destroy all of it, but because Lot really wants to go to the city, they're going to destroy the other ones and not that city. Hasten the escape there, thither, for I cannot do anything until thou hast come thither. Therefore the name of the city was called Zor. Now if you look at the map here, you can see all the cities there, and Zor is at the very, very bottom. Zor was just a few miles away, and it was full of homosexuals, but, God spared it for Lot's sake. And the sun risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zor, when the Lord rained upon Sodom and upon Gomorrah, brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. And brimstone basically usually just means like sulfur, something that is going to catch fire real easily. And this is actually a picture from the White Museum. It's from Sodom or Gomorrah. I think it's actually from Gomorrah, but it shows you little pockets of sulfur that hit this concrete here. And basically, it's pretty close to pure sulfur. There's a picture of him holding on top of a rock, and in Genesis 10:19 it talks about the borders of the Dead Sea, and so the borders of the Canaanites was from Sodom, and that comes to Gir and Gaza, and now goes to Sodom and Gomorrah, Abdom and Zembum, and you can see the green one here, that's Sodom, and then the yellow one is Gomorrah. The purple one is Admah, and the light blue one is Zembium. And these are actually the remains of the pillars that used to be there in Turkey. You can see how it looks now, and at the bottom how it looked originally. And again, here's the different pieces of sulfur that was stuck in the rock. And somebody wrote, and they said, I received the lab results from the brimstone sulfur specimens I submitted to the Galbraith labs. They yield 97.4% of pure sulfur. They must have came from heaven, since there is not found anywhere else on the planet. Apparently, there's no place on the planet that has that pure of sulfur. And it's interesting. We'll talk about later on when they talk about destroying Sodom. When they went there, they found remnants of buildings, and they showed that what happened was the fire started from the top of the buildings and like in the roof area all the way to the bottom. They burned it from the top to the bottom, and that would be impossible for it to happen unless it came from the sky. So that further shows you that God made the fire and brimstone to happen. And this is showing you on the top artistic drawing of what the city was supposed to look like, and then the bottom shows you the plains what it looks like now. It's a book called The War of the Jews by Josephus. And this is the reefs out here at the Gomorrah at the Dead Sea, and it's showing you basically the place is a wasteland now. And this is right here showing you it's brimstone still embedded in the ash. You can see right here the piece of sulfur stuck in the ash. And like I said, the place the stuff that they find there is almost pure sulfur. Genesis 19 verse 25. It says, and he overthrew those cities and all the plains and all the inhabitants of the city and that which grew on the ground. So it's saying that he completely destroyed everything that was there, even all the plants that grew on the ground. He grew, and everything in that little circle there is what he destroyed. And if you look at the left, you can actually see what Gomorrah looks like today. That was back in 2004 that picture was taken. But you can see that it's just a complete wasteland. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abram got up early in the morning into the place where he stood before the Lord. When he looked towards Sodom and Gomorrah, and towards all the land of the plain, and beheld, and there was a smoke, and the country went up as the smoke of a furnace. So Abram's wondering what's going on with Lot, and he looks out, and he just sees smoke everywhere. This is a picture of the area. You can just see all the ash that's there. And you can see how high the ash is, meaning that there must have been a huge fire there. Back in Deuteronomy 29:23, it says, and that the whole land thereof is brimstone and salt, and burning that is not sown, nor beareth, nor any grass groweth therein, like the overthrown of Sodom and Gomorrah, Abda and Zimbalum, which the Lord overthrew in his anger and with his wrath. So it's telling you that there's nothing there, not even grass. Back in Genesis 19, and it came to pass when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the mountains, and his 2 daughters with him, for he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. So the angel said, go to the mountains, go stay in a cave for a while. And Lot said, no way, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to a city. And when he got to the city, he saw that there was homosexuals there too, I guess, and said, man, this city's going to be next. I better get out of here. And then he went and did what God told him to begin with, and went in the mountains to stay in a cave. And the firstborn said unto the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come into us after the manner of all the earth. It basically means that there's no man around to give us a baby. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we might preserve seed with our father. So they're basically saying, let's get our daddy drunk, and then we'll have him give us a baby. And they made their father drunk with wine that night. And the firstborn went in and lay with her father, and he perceived not when she lay down or when she arose. So he's basically saying that Lot was so drunk, he didn't even know that she came in there to be with him. And it came to pass on the morrow that the firstborn said to the younger, behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drunk wine this night, and go in thou in, and lie with him, that we may reserve seed for our fathers. So the firstborn's telling the younger one, all right, I was with daddy last night. It's your turn now. And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not where she laid down or where she arose. So again, he didn't know that she was in there. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with child with their father. So basically it says that both girls got pregnant. And the firstborn bare a son, and he called his name Moab. And the second, the father, and the same was the father of the Moabites to this day. So the first one had a son named Moab, and so he's the father of the Moabites. And you can see here on the side the town of Israel and all the different cities in there. Deuteronomy 23 says, a bastard shall not enter into the congregation of the Lord, even unto his 10th generation, thou he not enter the congregation of the Lord. So if there's a bastard son, God will not let you be king until there's 10 generations happen. Then you can join the kinghood again. In Genesis 38, it said, it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren, and he turned into a certain Adamite, whose name was Hurrah. And Judah saw there a daughter of the certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua, and she took her and went unto her. And she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again, and she bore a son, and he called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Shebez when she bore him. And Judah took a wife into the firstborn, and his name was Tamar. And it came to pass when he drew back his hand, that behold, his brother came out. And she said, hast thou broken forth? His breach be upon thee, therefore his name shall be called Perez. And the women her neighbors gave it a name, saying, there is a son born to Naomi, and they will call his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David. Now these are the generations of Perez. This is back in Ruth 4. Perez begot Hezron, and Hezron begot Ram, and Ram begot Abinadab, and Abinadab begat Nahshon, and Nahshon begot Solomon, and Solomon begot Boaz, and Boaz begot Obed, And Obed begat Jesse, and Jesse begat David. So that's the 10th son. David would be the 10th son after all this. And in 1 Samuel it says, and it came to pass when Samuel was old, that he made his sons judge over Israel. And the name of the firstborn was Joel, and the name of the second was Abdi, and they were judges in Beersheba. And when the sons walked not in the ways, but turned aside after lucre and took bribes. So it's basically saying that this guy's son was not good. And perverted judgment. Then all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together, and came to Samuel into Ramah. And he said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons not walk in the ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the other nations. So the people are saying, we don't want your sons to judge. We want you to give us a king. And Samuel said unto Saul, I will not return with thee, for thou hast rejected the word of the Lord. And the Lord has rejected thee from being the king over Israel. So Saul was supposed to be the king, but he wasn't a very good person. So Samuel said, you're not going to be the king. I'm going to find somebody else. And as Samuel turned about to go away, he laid upon the skirt of his mantle, and it rent. And Samuel said unto him, The Lord has rent the kingdom of Israel from thee this day, and has given it to the neighbors that is better than thou. So he's saying, because you ripped my robe, that's a sign from God saying that the kingdom's going to be ripped from you. And David was the very first king, a good king of Israel. There was a whole bunch of bad kings before that, and then you actually had David, which was the first good king, and obviously Solomon was the second good king. And if you look at the map, the red area there is Ammon, and the second one is Moab. Those are the two daughters of Lot, and it shows you right there on the map where they were at. Genesis 19 verse 30. And the younger she bare a son, and called his name Benamai, and the same was the father of the children of Ammon to this day. So it's showing you the Moabites and the Ammonites, and it says that the younger bare a son, and named his name Benamite, and he's the children of Ammon. And people wonder who Ammon was. But if you go to Judges 10, it says, And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of God, in the sight of the Lord, and served Balaam and Asheroth, and the gods of Syria, and the gods of Zidon, and the gods of Moab, and the children of Ammon. So there's Moab, and there's Ammon. They served the gods of Moab and Ammon, which are the two daughters that was with Lot and got pregnant. And the gods of the Philistines, and forsook the Lord, and served not him. And this angered the Lord, and he was hot against Israel. And he sold them into the hands of the Philistines, and into the hands of the children of Ammon. So it's saying that God basically gave them up to the hands of Ammon, which was the youngest son. Judges 10. Then the children of Ammon were gathered together and encamped in Gilead, where the children of Israel assembled themselves together and encamped in Mizpah. And the people and the princes of Gilead said one to another, What man is he that will bring the fight against the children of Ammon? He shall be the head of all the inhabitants of Gilead. So it's basically saying that this Ammon's a pretty ruthless person. Well, again, I appreciate you guys following me on this Bible study. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me at godsohman@gmail.com. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, click the bell. Also, like and comment. If you don't really have anything to comment, just say good job, thank you, liked it, whatever. As long as you say something, YouTube's going to see that I had some interactions, and it's going to help me out. So again, thank you. I'm going to try to get another video out to you guys soon, and have a great day.